The NBA offseason is notorious for its chaos, and no division was hit harder than the Southeast. In 2022, the Southeast looked like this. The best team in that division were the Miami Heat, an 8 seed. But this 8 seed did something only one team before has done. They made the NBA Finals. They did this with names like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and Victor Oladipo. However, in the offseason, Vincent and Strus went into free agency, and Vincent and Strus both left Miami. Also, it didn't help that Oladipo was traded away for draft compensation. However, the biggest story for the Heat was when Damian Lillard demanded a trade from Portland. Dame basically said the only place he wants to go is Miami with Jimmy Butler, but Lillard doesn't have a no-trade clause, so his destination depends on where Portland wants him to go. And the problem with Miami is that they don't offer a great return for Dame. Right now in a two-way trade, Miami would get Lillard for Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and draft picks. But that's not good enough for Dame. Portland has had the chance to do number one, send off their loyal player to where he wants to go and not get good value in return, or number two, send off their loyal player to where the organization feels like they would get more in return even if Dame might not like it. But judging by how long it's taken them to make a move, I assume they are not respecting what Dame has done for their team. That means the Miami Heat will probably not get Damian Lillard this offseason. So they earn the grade C-. We can all assume Miami will be the best in their division again, but the fate for the rest of these teams are somewhat unknown. You see, with the second pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets selected Brandon Miller, to the disliking of their entire fan base. I guess Miller had been stirred up in a lot of controversy, and Charlotte fans probably preferred Scoot Henderson over him. We don't know if Miller's a bust or not, but we can only assume they'll suck in 2023. Grade D. The Orlando Magic didn't change their lineup all that much, only drafting Anthony Black and Jet Howard to build around Paolo Banchero. Grade C+. The Atlanta Hawks were flying over the salary cap as of late, so they needed to clear some space. Atlanta traded Ty Washington, Rudy Gay, and John Collins for practically nothing. So let's all watch Trae Young get whacked in the first round again. Grade C-. Now we have to talk about this catastrophe of a franchise called the Washington Wizards. This offseason, Washington basically just told everyone that they've given up, and for that reason, they switched into rebuilding mode. It's hard to tell when Washington's in rebuilding mode or not, cause it seems like they're always sucking. But after this horrible offseason, you'll see how bad they're really gonna be. Now, the Wizards had three young talents, Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kyle Kuzma. Now, with Kyle Kuzma, they re-signed him in free agency for a 4-year, $102 million deal. So congrats, you overpaid the bad end of the stick. But for these next two players, they basically just threw them down the drain for a bunch of second-round draft picks. Now, the biggest story that really shot off the 2023 offseason was when they traded Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. On June 24th, Beal waived his no-trade clause given to him in Washington and demanded a trade. Usually in a trade, a franchise gets to control where that player goes depending on what they get in return. But since Washington is a stupid franchise, Beal had a no-trade clause, so he basically got to decide where he was going. But for why he had a no-trade clause, I have no clue. Steph Curry has never had a no-trade clause, and he's never left Golden State. Curry is much better than Bradley Beal. Same with most of the other stars in this league. In fact, only 9 other players have ever gotten a no-trade clause before. Like David Robinson, he never left San Antonio and was a champion. Dirk Nowitzki never left Dallas, was a champion. John Stockton, he never left Utah, the all-time assist leader. Kobe Bryant never left LA, won 5 championships. Tim Duncan never left the Spurs, is also a 5-time champ. Bradley Beal, he did leave Washington a year after getting it. I think he made the playoffs. Look, the Wizards made a stupid decision, but they're basically an irrelevant franchise, so nobody cares all that much. Washington probably could have gotten more value from a player as good as Beal, a 3-time All-Star, 23 points per game player. But Beal chose the Phoenix Suns, who only gave the Wizards a washed-up Chris Paul, below-average Landry Shamet, and several meaningless second-rounders and pick swaps. Now, Chris Paul is known for making the teams he joins a better environment with better play. But with Paul growing older by the day, he wanted nothing to do with DC. Paul prefers the West Coast, so he got traded to the Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole and a couple worthless draft picks. That's not all. Monte Morris also left in free agency, and to add the icing on the cake, Washington's other star, Kristaps Porzingis, wanted out of DC. The Wizards at least got some value before he went into free agency, getting Tyus Jones and a couple worthless draft picks. And speaking of the draft, Washington drafted a player that goes by the name former teammate of Victor Wembanyama in every single article he's in. So yeah, the Washington Wizards starting lineup just looks like a disaster this year. They basically turned 46 points per game from Porzingis and Beal to 30 points per game from Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole. So their grade is a big fat F. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.